To tell you the truth, fucking miserable. I'm gonna go fucking this.
Oscar De La Hoya's story is often seen as a success, but it also carries a deeper and more painful truth. Boxing gave him everything, including world titles in 6 different weight divisions and huge financial success, but it also took a heavy personal toll on him. He was a young fighter from East Los Angeles who grew up around hardship and was turned into a global champion. That part of his life is well known and completely real, with Olympic gold medals, 11 world titles, and a career that made him one of boxing's biggest stars. The Golden Boy became a symbol of success and fame. But there is another side to his story that he kept private for many years. Behind the achievements and public image, there was a quieter personal struggle that he did not speak about openly for almost 3 decades.
Household was abusive.
That is where the real story begins, not inside a boxing ring, but in a home in East Los Angeles where a young boy learned long before he ever stepped into the ring that the safest way to survive was to feel nothing. Oscar De La Hoya was born on February 4, 1973 to parents who had moved to the United States from Mexico. His mother, Cecilia Gonzalez de la Hoya, crossed the border alone at just 14 years old with a dream of becoming a singer, but she ended up working in a zipper factory. She would sing traditional Spanish songs while cooking, and Oscar later said those were the moments when he felt most at peace. That version of his mother became the one he could love without conflict, but there was also another side of her that would surface without warning.
Passed away when I was 16, 17 years old. And what people don't know is that she was very abusive physically, and that was the only child.
He was the middle child. His brothers and sisters were never touched, but he alone experienced physical violence. Beatings began when he was as young as 5 years old. They were targeted and repeated in ways that made no sense to a child. In his 2023 HBO documentary, The Golden Boy, he described one incident where a stickball rolled into the street. A car nearly hit him. He ran to his mother, expecting comfort. Instead, she beat him in the street. She would say, "I am going to give you something to cry about," and continue until she was done. One beating lasted so long that she eventually began crying herself. Not because she had stopped, but because he had. He had become numb. He stopped reacting. This made her more angry. He later described the feeling as if his soul had left his body. That emotional shutdown formed in childhood, as survival later became the foundation of who he was in the boxing ring. He could take punishment without reacting. Not because of toughness, but because he had learned to separate himself from what was happening to his body.
Inside the ring, I would have all this anger and rage, and I wouldn't change it for anything, because I strongly feel that what I lived, my life, course of my life.
That anger had a face. In the documentary, Oscar said that when he entered the ring, he would picture his mother's face on the man standing in front of him. Every punch he took became a release point. It gave him permission to finally express anger. It allowed him to let out everything he had carried for years. He even admitted that being hit in the face felt strange, but not because he enjoyed pain, but because it meant he finally had a reason to let everything out. Beneath that feeling there was something deeper that stayed hidden for decades. At the age of 13, while competing in a youth boxing event in Hawaii, he experienced a traumatic incident involving an older woman who was over 35. He kept it buried inside for most of his life. He did not speak about it publicly until August 31, 2021, in an interview with the Los Angeles Times nearly 40 years later. His voice reportedly changed as he spoke about it. He did not name anyone and only confirmed that it happened and that it stayed with him. He explained how a child in the public eye survived something like that by pushing it down and moving forward and becoming the golden boy while carrying the weight silently. Later his mother became seriously ill. Cecilia Gonzalez de la Hoya was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer at just 38 years old. When Oscar was 17, she still attended his fight at the 1990 Goodwill Games, even though she was very sick. She skipped treatment and sat in the crowd waving both the American flag and the Mexican flag. From the ring, Oscar saw her there weak and fading. On October 28, 1990, she passed away. By the time he reached the hospital, she could no longer recognize him. He never got the chance to tell her he loved her. He described wanting to reach her room, but she was already gone. At 17, he was left with childhood pain, unspoken trauma, and grief with no way to release it. Everything had nowhere to go except into boxing. When he turned professional in November 1992, the public story looked perfect. A 19-year-old Olympic gold medalist from the 1992 Barcelona Games, seen as the fulfillment of his mother's dream. He cried on the podium, and that image became known worldwide as the American dream in boxing gloves. But later he admitted the truth was different. His mother never actually asked him to win Olympic gold. He had created that idea himself. In the moment after winning, he was overwhelmed in front of cameras, and the story he told came out easier than the truth, and slowly it became part of his identity. He began his professional career at the Great Western Forum in Inglewood, California, and knocked out his first opponent in the first round. He ended his first year with 10 wins and 9 knockouts, and quickly became known for speed and precision that impressed the boxing world. By 1994, he won the WBO super featherweight title. In 1995, he added the WBO and IBF lightweight titles. In 1996, he stopped Julio Cesar Chavez in 4 rounds. In 1997, he outboxed Pernell Whitaker over 12 rounds to win the welterweight title. He moved through weight divisions and collected championships in a way few fighters could match. Alongside boxing, he released a Latin pop album that earned a Grammy nomination and wrote a children's book. He became a global star during boxing's biggest commercial era. Yet inside he felt empty. In a 2023 interview with The Guardian connected to his HBO documentary, he admitted he did not truly love boxing. He said he was simply good at it. He was disciplined and focused and shaped into a champion. He said he was living his father's dream and trying to honor his parents after losing his mother. He described boxing as something he was built for, not something he loved. He called himself a robot. But inside that robot he described a volcano. In the same interview he explained that without his mother's absence he would not have carried that anger. Without his early pain there would be no pressure building inside him. No volcano waiting to erupt. The only way to release it was through fighting. The ring became more than competition. It became survival. It became the place where everything he suppressed, including pain, trauma, grief, and guilt, could finally come out through action. Outside the ring he felt trapped inside himself. Inside it he felt movement. He went on to win world titles across 6 weight divisions, finishing with 39 wins, 6 losses, and 30 knockouts. He was ranked number 1 pound for pound by the Ring magazine in 1997 and 1998. He headlined massive pay-per-view events that generated huge revenue and global attention. Yet he later admitted he was unhappy. He said he was miserable. That feeling did not start after retirement. It was present throughout his career. Each win gave a short release like pressure, leaving the volcano for a moment before building again. The emptiness always returned.
Oscar De La Hoya, a former boxing legend, has reportedly just been convicted after years of scandals and legal troubles. A decision that could change everything for the man once known as the Golden Boy. Some are already calling it a dramatic turning point, with the possibility of life in prison now being mentioned. Something that's deeply worrying his fans. So, what really happened and what could this mean moving forward? Oscar De La Hoya was a Mexican-American who competed as a professional boxer. He was born in East Los Angeles, California, into a boxing family. His grandfather, Vicente, was an amateur fighter, and his father, Joel Sr., had been a professional boxer. Boxing wasn't a hobby in the De La Hoya household. It was the family trade, and Oscar picked up the tools of that trade faster than anyone could have imagined. His amateur career included many wins, many by knockout. He won the U.S. National Championship at featherweight and was the youngest U.S. boxer at that year's Goodwill Games, winning a gold medal. But it was a certain moment that changed everything. As the Summer Olympics approached, De La Hoya turned his mother's dream into a strong focus for his training. After an upset victory in the first round over Cuban boxer Julio Gonzalez, De La Hoya defeated German boxer Marco Rudolph to win the gold medal. The U.S. media publicized his quest to fulfill his mother's dying wish and nicknamed him the Golden Boy, which has remained with him throughout his career. His mother, Cecilia, had passed away from cancer. She made him promise one thing: bring home the gold. He did. That story, the son fulfilling a dying mother's wish on the world stage, turned De La Hoya into more than a boxer. He became a symbol, a face for an entire community. His accolades include winning many world titles in multiple weight classes, including lineal championships in 3 weight classes. De La Hoya was named the Ring Magazine Fighter of the Year and was its top-rated fighter in them. But as early as the late 1990s, even while Oscar was collecting world titles, cracks were forming. He was accused of rape. Mexican authorities investigated with no charges filed, and De La Hoya maintained his innocence. A lawsuit was then filed in San Bernardino County Superior Court, alleging that De La Hoya had raped the complainant, who was a minor at the time, in a hotel room in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. The suit was heard and was settled out of court. That case was the first real smudge on the golden image. It was settled, not litigated. No criminal charges were filed, but it set a pattern. Allegations would follow Oscar De La Hoya like shadows, and settlements would become his preferred method of making problems disappear. Outside of the legal arena, De La Hoya's personal battles were intensifying. The relationship with his then fiancée abruptly ended when she, who was at home watching the Latin Grammy Awards on television, saw De La Hoya escorting another woman to the show. She filed a large palimony suit against her ex-fiancé, claiming he was an alcoholic, abusive to her and to their daughter, and that he used them as props to promote his public image. But the accumulation of allegations spanning decades has created a cloud over De La Hoya's legacy that no press statement can dispel. And while these civil cases played out in courtrooms, De La Hoya was also facing the law on a more personal, more immediate level.